as chair of the African People's Solidarity Committee, we are the organization of white people that is an organization formed by the African People's Socialist Party and Chairman Omali Yeshitela. Our job is to go into the white community, to organize other white people to understand that the struggle for black people, for black power, and for African liberation is the anti-imperialist movement. It's in our interest to stand in solidarity with African and oppressed peoples around the world, because there's no future for us standing on the side and on the pedestal of this system that's built at the expense of everybody else on the planet. It's an honor to be here to march behind the red, black, and green and to say peace through revolution. The African People's Solidarity Committee is built on the premise, as has been said so eloquently during this rally today, built on the premise that this system, capitalism, and the United States and Europe are built on the enslavement of African people, turning African people into commodities for sale, which is the basis for Wall Street banks, for stock markets, and for capitalism all around the world. Capitalism in the United States is built on the theft of the land of the indigenous people and genocide, and that we recognize that this land still belongs to the indigenous people, and that no white people have any legitimate claim to this land in this whole hemisphere. And we recognize that white people came here, poor from Europe, but were able to walk up the ladder of success based on a system in which Africans were enslaved, building the most incredible productivity and wealth that has ever been experienced on the planet Earth before, that we were able to send our children to college, that we were able to live a life in which white people don't expect our children to be gunned down in the street, to be shot in the back during graduation parties, as we saw in St. Petersburg, Florida, where I live, or to be shot down 40 times like Amadou Diallo, or shot on the subway platform like Oscar Grant in Oakland, California, or all these mothers that are here today and relatives of Africans gunned down. That doesn't happen in the white community. There are two Americas. We look at this system, we see in this country 2.3 million people in these prisons. The U.S. used to call the Soviet Union with its gulags. They would call their prisons the gulags. Well, this is the gulags, because these prisons are full of African and indigenous and Mexican people, not white people. That African people go to prison for 3 strikes you're out, or mandatory minimums on things that white people don't even get arrested for, don't even go to jail for, don't even go to court for. And that this is a colonial system, as Chairman Omali Yeshitela says us, that there is colonialism right here. It's not racism. Ideas in people's heads don't create this system. It's colonialism, no different than we would see in South Africa, no different than we would see in Afghanistan or any place in the world where people are struggling against U.S. imperialism. I could take an unlearning racism class for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I still go home to my community, and the conditions of the African community are still catching hell every day. There's 2 Americas. The police act one way in our community and gun down African young people day after day in the African community. We see that. We see stop and frisk. 700,000 or more Africans, Spanish-speaking Latinos stopped by the police, not white people. And so this is the understandings that we take into the white community, that we have a responsibility, that white people, even when we experience oppression, will still have historically stood on the side of our oppressors against African people to get rights for ourselves at the expense of everybody else. That in every occasion we have sold out the African liberation movement. We have sold out the movements of the people on the planet Earth, and especially right here inside this country. And that if we want to see revolution. We want to see an anti-imperialist stance. It's right here.